Welcome to the Web3 School, where you can learn from Web3 leaders and earn crypto rewards at the same time. To learn more about the Web3 School, visit the link in the description of this video. Now, without further ado, let's get into episode 4 of the Web3 School, where we will be discussing Web3 market insights and how you can spot the next big thing with Adam Saddique, Director of Cryptonary. Adam, thank you very much for joining me today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks, Jake. Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here and to speak to the Upper Cent audience.
It's always a pleasure to be speaking with you, mate. Always a pleasure. So yeah, just for the audience, let's get an introduction from yourself to begin with.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I have a company called Cryptonary. I'm one of the directors here. We're an online education platform for crypto. Our big thing is onboarding people to crypto and bring them in the right way and giving them insider access to our researchers and finding the next big project.
I love that. Obviously, we're on the education topic here, so it's definitely a great topic to cover in the Web3 School. So, how did you actually find yourself in Web3, Adam? Like, where did this all start? How did it happen?
Yep, so I got into crypto around 2016. I was always involved in the e-commerce space and made a bit of money in e-commerce. I didn't know what to do with the money, so thought, you know what? There's a new thing called crypto around. Let's dive in. So I got into crypto, invested myself, and then when you go down that rabbit hole of Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, of course, we thought, as a team, I had a few people working with me. How about we take this capital and we start to invest it into different altcoins too? And then we went down that whole kind of journey trying to find the next big project. And in the end, we thought, why don't we start our own research team to help us build our portfolio? And then from there, we started Cryptonary. And once you're into crypto, Web3 is the logical next step.
I got it. So you basically built the service for yourself to start with, to know where to put your money in crypto, and then you decided that this is a service that everyone should get access to. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's exactly how it happened. There was no plan to start a business here. It was, where do we put our money? And then we spoke to a couple of experts in the space and did our own research. And we thought, you know what? We're finally doing pretty well. We're outperforming the market at this point. And we thought, why not start a blog? And that's where Cryptonary came from.
Cool. So how would you describe Cryptonary? You've touched on it a little bit. There's market insights here. There's education. If you were going to explain Cryptonary to someone brand new, how would you do it?
I guess I'd look at our Instagram bio. Your insider access to Web3's most exciting opportunities. And what I mean by that is Web3 has endless opportunities, but to navigate the space properly and find those winners, you're going to need people who are spending their time actually researching the space. And that's what we do. We have a team of researchers who go out, study projects. We have an editorial team and a writing team who can pull that in together and write compelling reports and deliver to our audience. And of course, for them to properly benefit from the reports, we need to make sure they understand the different concepts throughout Web3. So we create a lot of content around that also.
Brilliant. And so you've set this up off of, which is I love, by the way. I always think that you should create a product that you would personally use yourself, because you become the target market, which is always an advantage, right? But what are your long-term kind of goals with Cryptonary now? From the stage you're at now, maybe a bit of an explanation to the stage you're at now would be great. And what are you really trying to achieve with the company?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess there are a couple of objectives. Some obviously very selfish, some that sound kind of altruistic. I think on the grand scheme of things, we want to onboard people to crypto. At the end of the day, we're all invested, and me, you, everyone watching this, I assume. And the goal is to bring on as many people as possible. The faster that adoption occurs, the more capital that flows into crypto. Everyone's bags are pumped, and it's just great for the whole space. Right now, as a business, we're in a pretty good spot. We have a paid subscription model and a free subscription model, and we're growing really fast. We have great great growth every single year. And the goal now is to basically 10x where we're at now and grow the business, reach more people, and introduce people to crypto the right way. A lot of people come in and they go on YouTube and they ask for the next big project. It's some scam or some YouTuber shilling a project. And we want to get past that. We want to be a reputable voice in the space that people can trust, who actually know what they're talking about.
I think there's some really important points. And now we've got the general introduction to Cryptonary. I want to ask you a few more questions about your opinions directly with the industry. And I think you've basically just given a few tips out anyway. But if you had to pick 3 tips for those involved in crypto that could really help them make the most of the space, what would those tips be?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest ones I could say is, look, I did a lot of boxing growing up, a lot of Muay Thai, and it's important to have a coach and or put the time in yourself. You know, you can't go into a fight ill prepared. So I don't think you should be making investments unless they're well informed. And there's 2 ways to do this. And I recommend the combination of both. It's finding an authority in the space like a Cryptonary. There are others out there who you may like too. But finding an authority who put all their cards on the table and show you exactly what they're doing and share their logic and reasoning with you. And then also you have the responsibility yourself to go out and research the space. And then once you have that knowledge, make smart, informed decisions. You know, it's your portfolio at the end of the day, and it's your responsibilities, your future, your financial freedom. So I would say before doing anything, do your research. Don't invest without research. You wouldn't walk into a fight without preparation. You can't, bank your financial future on a couple of YouTube videos and some Instagram posts.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy. A really, really good analogy. So that's your core, that's your core main tip. Have you got any others for us?
Yeah, for sure. There are lots of small ones, but the biggest one is absolutely that. Do your own research and find an authority in the space who you can trust. I guess alongside that, it's always keep an optimistic mindset. We're still very early. Things can be a bit chaotic, but it's important to keep yourself fresh. I would say to try and become a part of communities. There are a lot of great communities out there in the Web3 space. That's what Web3 is all about. And if you surround yourself with the right people, you're going to be exposed to the right opportunities. Beyond that, not just looking into projects, get educated. You need to understand how the different parts move in a machine to get the best out of it. Those are the biggest things I can give that aren't, going to be repeated over and over on TikTok and YouTube.
No, I think that's a great tip for life as well. That doesn't just stick to crypto, but I think that's how a lot of successful people approach life. And so that's for the general kind of crypto user. What about a tip for crypto founders? Founders trying to play in this space like you and I are. Again, it's not the most relaxing and easy job based on the industry. But what tips do you have for people trying to come in and build something special?
I think for builders in the space, it's important to recognize this is not an industry. This is not a field that's easy to navigate. And if you're not guided or you're not surrounded by other founders, it can be very, very tricky. We're in an industry that's getting a lot of capital thrown into it. And this it's a good thing, but it's a bad thing too. It's a double-edged sword. Because in one sense, if you've got a really cool idea, you can get funding pretty easily in this space. However, when you take funding, you lose control over what you're trying to build. So if you come in with great intention of, I want to do this, I want to impact the space in a positive way, but then you take the capital of people who are just trying to make money, you can sometimes lose your path. So I would say to all the founders out there or people who are aspiring to be founders, go come up with a fascinating idea, something really great, something innovative that's going to change the world or change crypto at the very least. But then be very picky with where you take capital from, as you don't want to lose control of your vision. To really succeed in this space, it's not just about making money. Making money is a byproduct of whatever you create. So keep as much control over your projects as possible. Be very careful where you take capital from. Surround yourself with other founders because no one else is going to get you like another founder in the space, because this space is like no other. Beyond that, I would say before you raise, build something. A lot of people go out in the space and they look to raise capital, they hire lots of employees, and they run before they've got anything going. What we did at Cryptonary, which was it was different, but it worked out perfectly, is we had no intentions of creating a business. It just happened. So create a working model before you do anything. Be very careful where you take your capital from.
I think they're all fabulous points. Definitely agree with trying to build something and get out there as soon as possible. I think that's a really, really important point. At the end of the day, we need to build products that have use cases. Otherwise, the business is inevitably going to fail, even if it looks successful on paper at the beginning. So I'm 100% with you on that. And I think there's some really, really great tips for founders, and different tips as well. A lot of people say the same stuff, like hire a good team and so on. But I think that the tips you gave were very unique. So I really appreciate you sharing those, Adam. And they make a lot of sense as your story explains. So thank you. And let's move the discussion on a little bit more about your personal thoughts to do with Web3 in general. And the first question I want to get into here is very, very bold question, very open question. But what do you think the future of Web3 actually holds?
Yeah, it's a very bold question. It's an interesting one too, because I don't think there are any correct answers. But I'll just let you know where my mind wanders. Obviously, I think everyone watching this is a big fan of Web3. So I'm not going to do the same old thing of trying to pitch you on the concept. I'm going to look at where do I see Web3 headed. One area of Web3 that I think is about to be explored a lot is venture capital, DAOs. So we all know the issue with venture capital. It's controlled by a very few, very select people. When they make decisions, it's usually profits first of mind. I don't know how many are really looking to change the world. And you're leaving the control in the hands of a few people. I think venture capital DAOs, and there are a couple of interesting projects out there working on them. I think that could be a great innovation where you pull a community together of people who are like-minded, who have the same kind of missions, visions, values in life, and you work as like a little incubator to decide where you put your capital. I think that's a very interesting innovation that's going to happen in the Web3 space. And at its core, it all comes down to that community, right? If you go out and you create a community of people with a particular set of skills, then hopefully you can take those skills, put them together, and do something magical. And I think specifically venture capital DAOs have a very bright future.
I love that community. That's it. That's what Web3 comes down to. I think when anyone asks you to define Web3, if you do not, in the return sentence and definition, use the word community, then you have completely misunderstood this space. So I like that a lot. And in addition to that, so you think that's maybe the future on the side of fundraising. Is that what excites you? Is there anything else in the space that excites you that you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, well, look, you just mentioned community there. And look, community is the pinnacle of Web3. It's the foundation, but it's also the pinnacle. I think it all comes down to community. For example, at Cryptonary, what are we? We're a research education company. People can go and they can copy our research. People can, screenshot all our pics. People can find our public wallets to see what we're investing in. They can steal all of our content. Someone can literally replicate our website. But the one thing they can't do is take away our community. Take whatever you want, you can't take our community. And that shows the power of the community. So I think it's about building a community, but also the right kind of community. If you are looking at the crowdfunding side of things, it's important not to get people just trying to make a quick buck. You want to get people in your community who are being innovative, who can think long term. But yeah, crowdfunding, but also innovation. One thing me and my team have discussed at Cryptonary is now that we've built a pretty large community of people who are well educated, why not form some kind of incubator? You've got an incredible group of, let's say, 10,000 people, all with brilliant minds. Why not help some of these people bring their projects to fruition? I've said this to a couple of my guys. It's the next Vitalik Buterin is probably in the Cryptonary Discord right now. And, I'm not sure who the equivalent would be, but Hey, the next Vitalik might be in the upper cent Discord as well.
Yeah, let's hope so. I do like that point though, and I think yeah, the community we can never get away from how important that is to everything. And as you mentioned now, the upper cent community, which we're building at the moment, we've already got some amazing, talented minds in the community, and we're looking to, of course, continue to build that. I think the whole purpose of upper cent is to surround yourself with like-minded people that want to become the best version of themselves, and they're doing that by learning through courses taught by the best on the upper cent platform.
Absolutely. A quick point on that as well, if you don't mind. We
Sure.
spoke at the start about like if I had to give a couple of pieces of advice, I would say the biggest thing I could say is have a growth mindset. The two mindsets, fixed and growth. You have to be someone who is um, plastic, someone who could be molded. You can't be a rock. And I think what I love about the upper cent community and what you guys are doing is you're going and you're finding people who want to better themselves, the upper sense of people, the upper cent of the world. And I think because you're building a community around that, people who have that growth mindset, I think you're gonna get some incredible people come out of your school in a sense, because everyone's got the same growth mindset, and you're surrounded by people who you know think the same. So what they say, like rising tides raise all boats. Yeah, I think you're gonna get some really interesting people come out of your school.
I really appreciate that, Adam, and I think yeah, you're on the exactly the right wavelength. We want people that either have a growth mindset or want to develop one because they want a better life for them, their family, their friends, and so on. That's the core of what our product's trying to help people achieve, and therefore the community also need to have those ambitions to make sure that they succeed in the path that they want to, and our community can support them, not just us as a company through the content, but other like-minded people. So it's a really exciting time, but community is fundamental to every Web3 project. So that's the core tip for a founder. How do you build a community? And what are the values of that community? And, that's a rabbit hole to go down on its own.
Absolutely. And another one for founders is don't try to build a community for the sake of it. Have purpose, have intention, have a reason. And one of the biggest reasons we saw so many NFTs collapse over the last couple of years is there was no substance there. They built a community for the sake of selling an NFT via a mint. It doesn't make sense. Create a product and people will come to use your product, and the community will form naturally. So going out and creating a community, you still have to start with product. Product is king.
Product is king. And you can clearly see like the successful NFT projects, there is a real sense in their community. There is, there's a meaning there. I really like what Pudgy Penguins did. I know they were taken over, but initially they were just kind of these penguin NFTs, and whoever took them over made them into almost like a voice for a really, really important topic. And then the community had a real sense of meaning. Whereas before it was, there was just kind of Web3 enthusiasts that were the community. Now they have that, but people that have a real genuine meaning and reason to be in that community. So I think that's a really good example to share there. And kind of coming off of that, talking about failures and projects that haven't succeeded in the space. Of course, there's 1,000 reasons why that could be. A lot will just say, bear market, man, bear market gas. You've been in crypto for a while now. You've experienced a bear market or two. What are your personal tips on how to survive a bear market?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. And yeah, we've been through two bear markets as a company. Myself, around two, yeah. I started Cryptonary pretty much as soon as I got in. So I would say there's on two fronts. As an individual, surviving a bear market, I think there are two main things you need to do. First is, of course, the bulletproof mindset. You need conviction if you're going to expect to get through a storm. And if you think pessimistically and you panic at the first sign of adversity, it's not going to work. And if that's you need to work on that. But also, how do you build that conviction? You can only build conviction through understanding and having faith in yourself. And you can only have that faith if you know you've made the right decisions. So in a bear market, pretty much everything drops. It doesn't matter how fundamentally sound a project is. It's going down because it moves together. But if you know that you made the right decisions in what you were investing in because you did your research, because it was backed by the right people, because it was made by the right team, even when it's down, you're not going to worry too much because you know, like, okay, these were sound investments. Whereas if you're just shooting, random investments all over the place, trying to get a quick buck, you're most certainly going to fail. And then for a founder and as a company, without being too generic, it is important to find the right people. You need to find people who understand that it's not all going to be sunshine and rainbows, that there are going to be days where things look like it's over or like shit has hit the fan. And if you can build your team around people who have that, that conviction as well and the right mindset, who are willing to stick around, I think your company can move on. It also comes down to what decisions are you making in the bull market. If you survive a bear market, you needed to have made the right moves in a bull market. It's what they say, money isn't made when you sell, it's made when you buy. And what do you buy during a bull market? That's going to dictate what happens in a bear market. And same thing with what were you doing as a company during the bull market to make sure you were going to be okay as a bear market. A personal example to share with you guys is, look, Cryptonary is doing pretty good right now, but there was a period in the bear market where we started to churn quite hard as a company, which basically means that a lot of our paying subscribers left. But thankfully in the bull market, we were very frugal with how we were spending our money. So we were able to make sure everyone in the team could be taken care of.
Great points. Really, really good points. Definitely agree with, don't get too high in a bull market, and balance and understand that, especially the stage we're at in Web3, there are going to be peaks and troughs and they're going to come hard. Hopefully over time, the market matures a bit more and we don't see such big, such big changes in the landscape of the market. But that's where we are right now. So I think there's some really, really good points. And I suppose my last question for you, again, you spend a lot of time on the market insights side and understanding projects or leading a group of market analysts. What are the key things you're looking for when you're analyzing a good project? Or if I was going to rephrase that, there's a project, you love it, you love the look of it. Why? What have you seen in that project? What are those key things that you've looked for that project has that makes you think this one's a winner?
That's a very good question. And there are a lot of things you have to look at when differentiating between a great project, a decent one, and a shitty one. And that's the reality. I view every single project and protocol the same way I view a business. There's no difference to me. I view tokens as stocks 2.0. So when you're looking at a project, or let's say a token, just to keep things simple, does it make sense? How would it work in the real world? What is it? If it was a stock, would you invest in it? And to do that, of course, you look at the financials, you look at the team, you look at the tokenomics, which would be, I guess, how the stocks are distributed, and you look at what is the vision, what is the mission? Does it make sense? If it doesn't make sense from a fundamental perspective, if they're not building something that's actually going to change the world or change crypto and make it a better place, it's not going to work. It doesn't matter how much pretty packaging is around a project. It doesn't matter how pretty the packaging is if the box is empty. It's the same logic there. So if a company has a good vision and a product, then we start to look at the intangibles. For us at Cryptonary, we take every project and we look to rip it apart. Why won't this work? And that's where we start. And by the end of it, if you have a project that looks even semi-okay, you're onto a winner because of how hard we've been on it. But I guess to summarize, the mission, what are the team trying to do? Who is the team? Does it have real world value? And then what do the fundamentals look like? When I say fundamentals, the tokenomics. You can have a great project, but if the tokenomics don't make sense, it's not a good investment.
Again, can't disagree with any of those points at all. I definitely think not just I like the stock view, but I also think in addition to that with a token, that the huge part here is use case. You know, you buy a stock, it's
Absolutely.
mainly just on an investment perspective, right? But tokens, they need to be used. Otherwise, you know, you're not. Or the way I look at it is, people buy a token, they're like, cool, this is going to be like, this project does well, the token's going to go up, and or if it does bad, it's going to go down, and that might be the case. But the one thing that's really unique to Web3 is that these tokens have use cases. So there's demand that can come for the tokens that are outside of the business's performance, because you're not actually buying stock in the company in the majority of circumstances. You're buying a token that essentially needs to be used for something. And if that demand isn't there because it is pretty useless, then again, over time, you might get hit quite bad on that. So yeah, I think that's the only thing I have to that one.
Yeah, no, brilliant point, and it's very, very true. And when looking at the tokenomics of a protocol, it's exactly that. What is a utility? Someone came to me and said, Adam, why don't you make a Cryptonary token? And they gave me the whole sales pitch on, this is why you should do it. You can raise this much money. You can have a market cap of this. And, you know, it would be like a supercharged referral scheme to grow the business. But it came down to, it doesn't make sense to have a token. If a token doesn't make sense, why do it? Don't do a token for the sake of it. So yeah, that's another one too. If it doesn't make sense for a project to have a token, then it's definitely not worth investing in. The best projects out there, it comes down to, does their token have a use case? What utility is it? And ask yourself too, like, if you're not using the utility yourself, probably don't buy it. That's where NFTs are very interesting, like what you're doing with %. It's the NFT is an access pass. So no matter what, it's always going to have utility. On Cryptonary's front, we have an NFT as well. It's called Diamond Hands, and it gets you into certain events, certain meetups, certain webinars, certain Discord channels, and certain merchandise you get for free. So ask yourself, if you don't if you don't care about the utility, then no one else is going to care. And yeah, super, super true.
I'm with you. Utility is everything in this space, and I think that's a good way to end this episode. So, Adam, really appreciate you coming on. I think you've shared a lot of value there. Yeah, I really, really appreciate your time. And maybe just, if anyone wants more about Cryptonary, where's the best place to go?
Thank you, Jake. It's been a pleasure. Really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to talking more with you, and I'd love to talk more with members of your team and the Uppercent community. In regards to reaching us, feel free to shoot us a DM on Instagram. We're always online at Cryptonary. Also, visit the website, check it out. And yeah, hit up your boy Jake as well in Discord. He might get you a nice promo code.
Yeah, I'm sure if anyone's interested in Cryptonary, just let us know in the Uppercent Discord, and I'm sure we can do something, right, Adam? Absolutely. Brilliant. Well, look, really appreciate the time. Enjoy the rest of your short break that you're having right now.
I get to spend my break with you. This is my break, right? I came here on a holiday, and Jake's like, get on podcast right now, Adam. Stop being lazy. You can't stop. You're trying to build a unicorn. You need that Uppercent mindset. So I'm like, you know what? Grab my laptop. Time for the podcast.
And that is exactly what the Uppercent energy will bring to you. Let's get it. But yeah, Adam, again, thank you very much. And yeah, to everyone watching, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next episode.